The best description of the Sister Wives program actually comes from Cody Brown's nephew, Benjamin the Fresh King. He's a comedian out of Utah. He has TikTok, he's on YouTube, and he started doing reviews of the Sister Wives program. His description of the show is basically you have a middle-aged guy who's trying to incorporate his younger girlfriend into his family. And I think that pretty much summed it up, especially for people looking at it from the monogamous perspective. Now, one of the craziest things is, as we watch this show, and I think that it goes untalked about and greatly unappreciated, is the idea that as this show is happening and as Cody is trying to incorporate his young girlfriend and soon-to-be wife into the family, that one of his older relationships was actually suffering at the time because Christine, his third wife, had their youngest daughter, and after that birth, she suffered from postpartum depression. Now, postpartum depression is no joke. There's nothing funny about it. This very serious condition. Is a very serious situation for a lot of folks who are facing pregnancy and dealing with the aftermath of labor. And with the hormonal changes and everything going on, it can be debilitating. And I think that it's unappreciated in the sense that this is something that Christine was going through. And at the time, you hear the stories about how they're expected to just keep quiet, keep sweet, pray and obey. And if you're jealous or you have any sad or negative feelings about these additions to the family, then that's your problem. That's something you have to deal with. And it's not the issue or concern of anybody else around, including the husband. And I think that that's why I had Christine wearing the Wonder Woman costume on the thumbnail, is because she was suffering through this. And during the time that she was suffering through this, she had to get on set and go to work and film and pretend like everything is cool and everything is wonderful while she's suffering through this. And I don't think enough attention is paid to that. With that being said, it always occurred to me that if she's starting to complain about it, I'm sure Cody had this to say.
I mean that way, it's okay.
It is what it is. You just gonna have to suck it up. And that's what you just gonna have to deal with it, sucker. That's the way it is. She's coming into the family. You gonna feel a little pain, but then it's gonna be okay because I'm gonna be happy. Oh, well. And so I think that's how he kind of carried himself. And even beyond that, we look at the whole idea of, if one of the wives were ever to come to him and say, hey, Cody, I'm struggling, I'm having issues, this isn't feeling right, I'm really having a tough time with my pregnancy, I'm having a tough time dealing with myself, my confidence and security and everything else. After I had the baby, I'm having a tough time snapping back so that I can be here not only for you, but for the family, and more importantly, for this new baby that we just brought in the world. I'm having a tough time with that. I can see Cody even saying,
I don't care.
And how do I know this? How do I know this? Because during the time, right after Truly is born, and they're sitting on the couch and they're doing a description of Robin coming into the family and the importance of her coming into the family and being with everybody, you have Cody sitting there talking to Christine and telling this story about how he's sitting there. And you know what? Let's watch the video.
Robin and I were new in the relationship. My heart, I was going through some real difficult times, and I'm in Christine's room sobbing.
I remember you. Yeah.
Sorry. I was sobbing. I didn't know what was wrong. I'm looking at her. I don't know what's wrong. But I'm like, my heart is breaking in a million pieces, all this. And Christine's like, well, you're lovesick, and the only cure is a marriage.
Oh, I'm lovesick. Oh, it's so bad. Now some people are going to say, James, don't make fun of men for crying. Men should be able to show emotion. I mean, after all, Jesus wept. And I get that. That's 100% true. But at the same time, folks, we also have to take into consideration that just because a man is showing emotion and sensitivity doesn't mean that absolves him from showing compassion and caring about what's going on with his counterpart. So no, you don't get bonus points because you're sitting there on the couch of the woman you're with crying and upset because way back when you couldn't spend all your time with this other woman and you wonder why she's jealous. At that point, it's cemented for me that these relationships are entirely about how the man feels and about his perspective, what he's getting out of the world. If he's sad, then the world is a horrible place. If something happens to him, then the world is unfair. If he's happy and everybody else is miserable, oh well, the world is wonderful, everything's coming up roses, you need to get on board and need to ride with it. Now, when I saw him crying on the couch, this is what I imagined. You want to call Robin?
Go fuck yourself.
Stupid. And that's pretty much how I think a lot of us saw him crying. And it's not so much, oh, he's a baby because he's a man and he can't show emotion. Again, it's not because he's a man can't show emotion. It's because you're sitting on the couch with your wives crying about not being able to shun them and spend more time with a woman that you want to see. So let's keep this in perspective. At the time, he was driving 3 hours 400 or 500 miles away so that he could spend simultaneous back-to-back days away from the home, away from his wives, away from his kids, away from his pregnant wife who had already had a miscarriage. He's driving 3 hours out of town so that he can go sit up on somebody's couch, so that he can kick his feet up under her coffee table and smile, shin, and grin and take care of her and her kids. That's not a point where I would say, oh yeah, I'm going to give you a lot of points for a lot of sympathy because you were upset that you couldn't spend more time there. That's crazy to me. And ultimately, when you sit there, you cry, you complain, this is what I have to say.
We don't negotiate with terrorists.
So if you need to sit here and cry and be upset, then that's what you need to do because you have responsibilities to take care of at the house in Lehigh, and you need to be there for that. Now, as a monogamist, I can only imagine what it would be like for me to try to introduce the concept of bringing sister wives into the house. And the way I kind of figure it, you probably would talk to your friends or your buddies first, so you meet up with them, and this will be a conversation that you have between all of them. And it most likely would go horribly wrong. Can you say conniption? Do you know what a conniption is? When somebody's head explodes, when they blow up on you, that's what I imagine to happen. So let's take a look at this clip that I put together, and I'll talk to you about it on the other side. Hey, fellas. I'm finna tell my wife that I'm ready to drive 3 hours to check out this young tenderoni who's been stalking me out at church services. See, I know what you're thinking. Can she see other people? Hell no. That would be obscene. See, we have a commitment. I'm the only person who can step outside this relationship. Let me explain it to you this way. I'm a man. You ever heard that he's thinking with the wrong head or something like that? That demonstrates that he has the capacity to have multiple relationships because he's operating on multiple consciousness. I call that the penile intellect.
Son, you talk a lot of shit.
Hey. What's up, baby? Did you see that book I left for you? Keep sweet, pray and obey. What you mean you overheard what I was talking about? Why you look so upset?
Oh, hell no.
One week later.
All my buddies will be at my funeral looking at me, died crying like a bitch.
Do I think that ultimately nobody can do polygamous, that it's absolutely ridiculous for everybody and monogamy is the only way it can go? No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is that most people are not built for polygamy. Most people are not geared towards being able to do that in a productive and healthy manner because of upbringing, maybe because of beliefs, maybe because of how they see themselves or how they see others, how they use other people. That's pretty much why polygamy kind of strays off and kind of veers off into the wrong direction, because you have too many people who get involved with it and they're only thinking about themselves and how this thing will benefit them. So you don't have a situation where you have a loving environment. You have a situation where you have a bunch of people who are looking out for themselves and they're doing it in the name of family. Let me know what you guys think down below. Hopefully it was entertaining. You guys had a good time. That's my take. I'm James. This has been My Take on Reality, and I'm out.
'Cause I've been living life